Hi again, everybody. So what I'd like to do is review last week's quiz because a lot of you had questions about it, as it's going to contribute to the midterm, and then I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming project. So there we go. So here's a comparison of the face-to-face on the left to the online sections. This is pre-adjustment. We had some issues with some students didn't understand that when I asked for a decimal, that you, instead of a 2, you put in a 2.0. So that wasn't clear, so I went through and I gave points for all of those. And so here's a breakdown pre. No, actually, the top is the pre, the bottom is the post. That's what I meant, because I made some corrections. So the classroom, the average was 79, but after I made those corrections, it went up to, well, that'd be 7.9, 8.3, median of 9, and post, the classroom was 7.5. So the online section. So for the first time, the classroom outscored overall on average, outscored the online. So that's interesting. And so I've been thinking about what that could have been. And we did do some practice problems in the classroom. We did the same ones online, but in class we really discussed it. And students were able to ask questions. So I think maybe that helped. So as we move forward, I'm going to try to provide an opportunity for that. And I'll talk about office hours a little bit later. If we compare the undergrad to the grad for the quiz, the grad did a little bit better, not statistically significantly, but they did for the assignment. The time and touch were pretty close. So it's just really interesting. We had this kind of flip flop of scores. Interesting, and I really think it was just what we did in class. I think, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Here's two questions that I just want to clarify because although once I corrected the entry questions, everything else kind of worked out. But here's two right here. So not in this order. This one on the right came first, but comparing Company A to Company B, and I'm going to talk about this. The correct answer is Company A is performing better because the DART IR, the DART incidence rate, and the lost time ratio is better. That's what you want to compare first. Typically, when we look at the comparison here, Company A is a 50-25, so a 2-to-1 ratio of no lost time to lost time. Company B is a 6-to-27, which is approximately a 1-to-4 or 1-to-5, which is very bad. A company who's being more honest in their reporting is going to have a higher ratio, higher no lost time to lost time. They have the potential for improvement because they have the data. A company who is hiding data, there are other levels or layers of issues there, but how are they going to improve if they're not understanding what's really going on? So it's a company that's probably going to either continue to or be worse, whereas the other one is going to continue to be better. So we compare the DART first of all. The total case incidence rate is a bad measure in itself, but because of under recording, it's even worse than that. So we really only use the DART for comparison. And A was better than B for that. This other one over here, calculate compared to the BLS. Now, that's what people do out in industry. It's a bad comparison, simply because of the way the Bureau of Labor Statistics calculates the industry average and what that really represents. But for the sake of this class, you got to learn to crawl before you walk. We compare our numbers to their numbers, DART first of all, and really that's all we can really do. So the company's safety program is worse than the industry peers because of the DART incidence rate. That's really the best thing. You can look at the no lost time, but it's just going to be comparing your company to something that's bad anyway. So really just use the DART for the comparison, though a secondary comparison would be no lost time ratio, at least until the profession learns that there's a better way. That's what we have to do. In the midterm this week, you have 60 minutes to complete it. Should be plenty of time, especially considering the breakdown. My recommendations: review and prepare your notes and readings, so have everything ready. Make sure you know where everything is, and then work on the practice problems that I provided, and rewatch some of the videos, just to make sure you're doing the right thing. The first half is 10 multiple choice questions. It's actually 2 questions from a question pool I'd created based on what we covered in the first 5 lectures. So just as you saw in quiz 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, you're going to see something similar to that. So first 5 lectures, it's going to randomly draw 2 questions from a larger pool from each of those areas. For the second part of the exam, there are 15 problem-solving questions. 2, you calculate the total case incidence rate. 2, you calculate the DART incidence rates. For 2, you calculate the no last time ratio. For 2, you, I believe you're looking up something from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which you have to have available. You have to be able to find that stuff. And then I think the last 5 questions have to do with interpretation, just like I just explained on the last slide. So that is the midterm exam. The 10 multiple choice, that's just like a quiz. You guys are taking about 9-10 minutes to complete the weekly quizzes. You guys took about 25 minutes to complete the 10 questions this week, for last week's quiz. So, you break it all down, you have about 50 minutes to work on this. So there should be plenty of time to get it all done. I'm going to provide to my online class this study sheet. The classroom had this, so this is meant to kind of show you where to pull everything from both the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Sawyer report, and also from the 300 log and how they cross-compare to each other. So hopefully this will help you with your midterm. So just want to go back to the reasoning. So the ratio of no lost time to lost time, which is ideally 10-1. That's what Bird had. Heinrich had 29-1. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is about 1-1. Not good, but that's our, that's what we're going to use for our basis. Research indicates it should be closer to 4-1 or 5-1 based on the estimates of underreporting numbers to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we're going to use 1-1. It's not good, but we do desire that 4-1 ratio. When ratio is bad, we basically suspect under recording, and that really makes the total case incidence rate a bad comparison. And so all of BLS is really a bad comparison. So we just calculate our companies to see what our company's doing, and we'd like to see a 4 to 5-1 at minimum, if not better. But a 1-1 and worse, 1-1 and 1 to greater than 1 is really bad. Suspect under recording. So our DART IR is the first comparison because it's difficult to convert something where a doctor is like, oh, you need some time to recover, into something that would be less than first aid. It's tough it can be done, but it's tough to do. The ratio is secondary, but I think the ratio almost provides us with a means of what is the current status of attitude towards the safety program and what's the likelihood of it improving. Because there are a lot of insights we can draw from the comparison of no lost time to lost time. And we've discussed it ad nauseum in this course. And back to the realization that the comparison from a company incidence rate to the BLS is not good. BLS expresses things as an industry, therefore the unit of measure of industry. Our company to industry is not a good way to do it because they don't calculate averages based on every individual company. They take the totals and divide it by totals. And so it dilutes it. Just like I think that incidence rate should be calculated by job title or department. So you know where to focus your energy versus just saying, oh, all is good when it's not very great. Reminder that we have a guest speaker coming next Tuesday, the 26th. Do have a classroom now, which is cool, just got it. So we'll be in Highland Hall 1309 from 5 to 7 o'clock. I'll be providing more information as we go through the week. I will attempt to broadcast it live via WebEx, but then also record it in WebEx. So if you can't make it, I'll be getting that out as well. Sorry, just snorted. All right, so we've got the semester project coming up next week. So we got to get through this week. I'll get the executive summaries graded by Friday and post the stuff. By Friday, also, we'll have posted next week's work. So the semester project is you're going to be evaluating a real-world workers' compensation data set, also called the loss run or loss run report. For any graduate students, if you're working at a company right now and you would actually like to analyze your company's data, talk to me. It'd be nice if you could get 8 to 10 years, the past 8 to 10 years, in a loss run report. You can usually get it in MS Excel. And you can work on that and then do a presentation to management and include me in that presentation. And that can be your semester project. And that would be very valuable to you and very valuable to me to see how it works outside of the classroom. So if you can do that, let's talk. I think that would be fantastic. And also your data set probably wouldn't be as complex as the one in the classroom, because I asked for, sometimes not worst case scenario, but companies that are struggling, just because then it's easier to find things, right? So here's what we're going to do. The first week, we're going to evaluate the quality of the data and report the descriptive statistics. And that's going to be due week 1. Week 2, you're going to evaluate performance over time and forecast, and also evaluate the policy class code. If you remember, this week you're going to be learning about the Department of Workforce Development website and the Wisconsin Credit Rating Bureau. Credit Rating Bureau, you can look up the codes. The week after that, evaluate the causes and probably create a new cause category, because a lot of them can be combined. So we're going to talk about parent codes versus child codes. And I'll probably have my friend from Carrie Parman from Alliant Energy talk about how she handles the data for Alliant Energy, because she uses those. And then you're going to investigate the top causes or new cause codes within your prioritized job titles or policy class codes, and you're going to trend and forecast those to estimate what the losses are going to be in the future if nothing is done. And that is we use as a basis for justifying a requested investment to management. So you'll calculate the ROI, or the return on investment, and the presentation is then, it was similar to the last write-up. You're going to write up a technical report detailing what you did, what you found, and then you're going to write an executive summary, and assume that is all management's going to read. So you have to get everything across, the main points of what you found, and how that leads to your recommendations of where they should focus, how they should do things differently, and what the company could potentially save. And that's what the project's all about. And you'll do presentations then in the final week, and that's when the papers due. Seems like a long ways off. It is not. Got to get on this. Got to put in the time every week. Every week it's going to take you anywhere from 2 to 10 hours per week. Some of you, if you have difficulty with Excel, it could take more. For some students, say, it took me like 16, 20 hours this week to get going. Don't wait. If you procrastinate, I've had students fail this class because they procrastinated on this project. You have to put in the time each week, which is why I created the deadlines each week. When I didn't have that, students were waiting until the very end, and then they'd never finish it. And it's what you turn in and not the work you do. So I'll get into what's required each week. I do have a set of instructional videos, so you can work ahead if you want to. Each week I'm going to hold some office hours to help you out with certain aspects, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what to type in and exactly what the answers are. You have to solve the problems. You have to apply logic and be critical and solve the problems. And it's a self-learning process in addition to trying to present to management some actual recommendations. So for some of you, this may be intimidating or even to the point of being scary, but this is an excellent skill set. Students who graduate come back and say, that it was your project that really got me this job, or it's this project that got me the promotion. I've had students doing internships where they're showing people who've been at the company for 2 decades how to do this analysis. So you're fortunate to be able to develop these skills and this insight. Till we start, I want you to see if you can get access to a PC versus a laptop, especially if you could try to get 2 screens. That would be more beneficial. It's really difficult to do this with a laptop. It's difficult to work in Excel on a laptop, just letting you know. Come up with a reliable storage strategy. I use Dropbox.com. That works great for me. It's unacceptable for you to come at me in the 6th week and go, I lost everything. Figure it out. You have to find a reliable way to store this stuff. Store it in 2 different places if you have to. Buy a backup hard drive if you have to store your work. You got to do that kind of stuff. It's just, I've had too many students procrastinate and then lie about things going bad, and I can't just accept it. The next is make sure you're saving. You have a strategy for how you're saving documents. Don't keep saving it in the same one. As you're building your work each week, you should save it under a new title. So if something goes wrong, if one of your Excel documents goes corrupt and it can't be opened, no problem. You can go back to last week's and build from it. Okay? So I'll be talking about this quite a bit. Some of you won't listen, and then something will go wrong at the end, and I'm sorry. It's what you submit that I grade, not what the work you put into it. I've had too many students lie to me. That's all I got. So good luck on the midterm this week. Hopefully you can make it to the presentation next week. And yeah, next week things get really interesting. So clear your schedules.